Hi everyone, this is Crystal and welcome back to my organization series. Today we are dealing with sequins. So I don't use a lot of sequins, I'll be perfectly honest. They're not something I normally reach for, but every once in a while I want to create a shaker pocket or I want to add a few sequins here and there on a project. So I do have a small stash of them. So far, and for the last I don't know, several years probably, I've stored most of my sequins in these little boxes. These are fairly old sequins in here, not any of the newer ones. These boxes came from Target, and I don't know if you can tell, but all of the sequins inside are in plastic bags because it is not a very tight-fitting lid, and they will definitely move around between the compartments in this container, and I don't really trust the lids to stay on either. So when I first did this several years back, I put them all into plastic bags and just color coded them. There's one section here that is a few different mixes, I think, that came from other kits or something like that. But again, quite old, all of these. Anything that I've gotten recently, I have just thrown into the bottom drawer of this container here, which is just a cheap plastic drawer system. I think at one point I used it to hold office supplies, and then I repurposed it at some point for crafting. You can see this is just a mess of stuff. So there are some sequin mixes, there are some wood veneer little tiny pieces, there are some chipboard pieces floating around in the bottom. These are brads. So there is no rhyme or reason to what is actually in here. And I would like to change that and get this a bit more organized and possibly use them more because they're more organized. So my plan is to move all of the sequins that are in here into this container from scrapbook.com. So this, I'm not sure what it's actually called. I'll be sure to link it down below. It's part of their new organization products, or their product line. It is a scrapbook.com product. It has, I think 12 little containers inside here. I still haven't opened it, so let me open this up quick. Okay, so I took the plastic off, and you can see it has a lid very similar to this, but inside are all these individual little containers that screw closed. So these are all completely self-contained within this larger container. So they should work really good for these tiny little sequins mixes that are in here. So that's what my plan is. I'm gonna go ahead and put you on fast forward and get these mixes into this container. So I said that the sequins in this drawer are newer sequins, but of course new in my stash is a very relative term. So even though these are the newest ones that I have, there's still a lot of them that are 5 and 6 years old. There are a couple that are actually newer within the last couple years, but generally I just don't buy a lot of sequins. So it's things that came in collections that I wanted another piece, like the willow ones that you see there. I really wanted the clips and the wood veneer leaves, and it came with sequins. So I think there is one set in here that came in a hip kit club kit. Otherwise, I think they're much older. So things from Studio Calico Kits back when I subscribed to them, things from A Beautiful Mess, that sort of thing. So yeah, not super new, just newer than the other set of sequins that are probably closer to 10 years old. So yeah, I don't use a lot of sequins. So I think that this smaller storage and being able to actually see them is going to serve me much better, that I will be able to see what I have and then hopefully actually use some of these up. So you can see I'm going through, and I hope that you were in the mood for some comedy, because watching me trying to put these little staticky sequins in these containers, oh, like right there, didn't even take the lid off. I didn't even take the lid off. Tried to pour them in, the lid was still on. Thank goodness I have that little grabby tool. I don't even know what it's called, but I'll link it down below because it is a lifesaver when dealing with these tiny little things. Thank goodness I had it, or this would have taken me all day. It still takes me a very long time to get some of these in these little containers, but the good thing is that once they're in there, they will be easy to use and easy to manage. I should also say that these containers were sent to me as a member of the scrapbook.com exclusives creative team. They were sent in a box with a few other organizational supplies that you'll be seeing in upcoming videos, but I would not recommend them to you if I didn't feel like they were worthy of my recommendation. So when I tell you that I'm really enjoying these and I think that they're really going to work for me, I mean that honestly. Yeah, if I didn't like them, I would let you know. But the lids fit super securely. I love that you can see like a 360 view of everything that's inside. I don't have to dig through that drawer anymore. I don't have to pick up 5 different little containers to see everything that I have. It's going to be all in this one spot, and it's all perfectly visible, so I can actually see what I have and actually use it. Or that's the hope anyway, right? That's the reason we're doing this. Okay, so at some point I decided I needed to go through that drawer and actually pull out all the things that were going to go into this container, all of the sequins. So I did that. I still didn't bother to count the number of mixes that I had, so I'm just kind of randomly putting them into jars, and then I'll realize here shortly that I don't actually have enough for all of the different sequins that I have here. But it's not a problem. I end up mixing 2 of them that are really similar that I thought would work well together. And then I do put a couple into the other containers that I felt they would just work better. They kind of were more along the style of the things that were in these containers, the older containers. So I just kind of stuck those in there. And I will deal with those live here in just a few minutes. I'll come back and show you what I'm going to do with those. But right now I just have a couple more containers to empty into. These tiny little blue stars are super adorable. They are my favorite color, and I can't imagine why I haven't used them already, except that maybe the fact that they were just buried in the store and I forgot that I had them. But they were a bit of a bear to get into that container. They stuck to everything. So they stuck to the packaging, they stuck to my fingers. I definitely had to use that little tool to get them wrangled into that jar, but I'm super glad that I did, because now I know that I have them, and it really makes me want to create a shaker pocket with them because they are super cute. Okay, so this is where I realized I don't have enough containers. These tiny little black stars, there are just a few of them left in this package, and I just threw them in with another small amount of stars that were like gray and kind of an iridescent blue, and I thought they worked really well and I would probably use them together anyway. So stuck those together, and then I'm just going to empty these ones from the Willow collection into the last little container. These again went everywhere, all over. I think like 3 went into the container and the rest of them went onto my desk, but oh well, I get it under control here in just a second. So I'm going to finish that up. I'm going to put all of these into the container, seal the lid so I don't spill them again, and then I'm going to come back here and talk to you about what I'm going to do with those older sequins in the other containers and my plan for what I'm going to keep and what I'm willing to let go of at this point. So I've gotten all of the sequins that were in that drawer into this container. I love that you can see what's inside from all sides. Makes it really easy to pick out what I want to use. I do still have all of these. I'm not entirely convinced that I need to keep all of these, but I'm not sure how many to stick with. So I think I'm just going to quickly go through what's in here and see if I can maybe get it down to a smaller amount. So a lot of these sequins that are in these containers are the ones that you can get at any kind of big box craft store in those like multicolored containers. And And so I have hearts and stars and regular sequins in these basic colors. And so like I said, they're quite old. They're 10 years at least. In fact, a couple of these, I'm pretty sure there are some shamrock ones, some music note ones, and some red heart ones that are from high school, which makes them over 20 years old. Yeah, I'm a bit of a craft supply hoarder. I need to start like a recovery group or something. I don't know. I am getting better though. I'm getting rid of them. So I realized a few things weren't actually in the containers that they were supposed to be in. So I'm going through and just adding those into the bags that I had originally had them in. And then I am letting go of most of these. Once I really looked at them, I decided there were a few that I would probably use. I would add to other sequin mixes that I had to kind of fill them out and make them go a bit further, but really the majority of what's here I'm just never going to use. So you'll see here in just a little bit, I do decide to let go of most of what's here. I had a couple mixes that I had created a few years back for a little kit set that I did when I had my Etsy shop a few years ago. And I do end up just consolidating those into one single bag, and I will probably use those. But like I said, the majority of what's here is just, it's either not my style or it's just not exciting enough to warrant space in my craft area. They have some really gorgeous sequins out there, and if I want to create more shaker pockets or things like that, then I will probably go and find myself some of those, as opposed to using these that just don't really excite me anymore. So I'm going to consolidate these three right here. These are the ones that I had created a few years back for some kits that I had sold, and these were extra. And then you can see I've already kind of created two different piles. And I'm just going to continue along that vein. I end up with one single container full, as you'll see here in just a few minutes when I come back to talk to you live again. So I'm letting go of quite a few of them, and I do add them to my de-stash boxes. Even though they're not the exciting kind of sequins, I figure somebody could have some fun with them, and they don't take up a lot of space, so they are going into the boxes. But okay, adding all the ones I'm going to keep back into this container, and then I'm going to come back here live and talk to you one more time before saying goodbye for today. Okay, so I got everything I want to keep down to this, and what I think I might do actually is get another one of these containers and just transfer all of this into another one of these. That way I'll just have two of the same container with the sequins in them. All of this is going into the de-stash pile to be added to the de-stash boxes I'll have available at the end of this series, so stay tuned for that if any of the things that you're seeing me add look interesting to you. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I did also want to show you really quickly that I did something really similar with some of my wood veneers. So I have the larger version of this container, so you can see it's just a bit thicker. It's also from scrapbook.com. It has the same number of containers. They're just about double height. So I had all of my wood veneer pieces stored in this container, but I wasn't really using them. It wasn't convenient to pull them out, and there was just too much here for me to really sort through, and I don't use wood veneer that often, and when I do use them, they're usually the ones that come in a kit or something like that. So I got this down to what I think I might actually use, and I've stored them in here along with all those little chipboard pieces that were in the bottom of the drawer that held my sequins. So I have the chipboard in here, I have some wood veneer in here, and this is the kind of limit of what I'm going to store long term. And then of course what I get from kits and things will be separate from this. I do also have a few that I pulled out from this container that kind of sparked ideas for other projects that I wanted to do. So these are going to go along with those things that are kind of my use it or lose it, things that I need to use now or get rid of. And if I don't use these up in a very short amount of time, then it's time to let these go as well. So that's what this is. This is going into the de-stash pile. There was one little sequin mix that was Christmas. That's going to go into my Christmas pile. You'll see that again because I have a Christmas sorting video coming up soon. But otherwise, that is it. This is what I'm keeping right here, and everything else can go. So if you have any questions about anything that I've used here or shown, I will have both of these linked down below, but if you have any questions about anything else, feel free to leave those in the comments and I'll be sure to get back to you. I hope that you were able to find some inspiration for organizing your own stash in this video. If you did, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you back here soon.